Welcome to the podcast Studio Steen, Inspiring Leadership. I learned in my life the importance of being inspired by others and to be surrounded by people who bring you new insights and perspectives. That is the way to grow as a leader and human being in challenging and changing times. In these podcast series, I bring you the latest innovations on personal development and leadership told from business managers, CEOs, spiritual leaders, and people who live their true story. Welcome to the podcast Studio Steen, Inspiring Leadership. I am your host, Steen Staes, executive coach and absolutely addicted to podcast making. Today, my guest is Aegir Ingolfsson, and I am so honored and excited to have him in my show today. So, Aegir Ingolfsson is a former well-known doctor in dentology who has his practice in Iceland and the United States. Since more than 20 years, he's also an active yoga and meditation practitioner and teacher. The last years, he specialized himself in quantum intelligence and men's work. With a rough Icelandic background, he is a wonderful and heartful human being to be around with. His wisdom and inspiration for all who is interested in personal growth to create a healthy and happy life. So welcome in my podcast, Aegir. I'm very honored to have you in my podcast. We have known each other for over 5 years now, through an intense and very powerful leadership program. It has brought us much joy and a bit of pain also. You're very well aware of that. So I'm also very pleased that today, this year, we will do a retreat together in Iceland, but we will talk about it more. I first would like to present to the listeners who you are, because my meeting was you, and to getting to know you was really inspiring. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. The honor is all mine.
Well, so Aegir, maybe to start with, you were raised and brought up in Iceland a long time ago. How was that? Because Iceland, for European or for the mainland listeners or from the States, Iceland is somewhere very cold. And how was that for you?
It was pretty wonderful and at times strenuous. I was born in a small island outside of the mainland or main island, and it was mainly fisheries, almost fisheries exclusively, and it was tough. Life was tough for people there. And the culture was tough too, as well.
In what way? Can you give an example of what was it that was so tough?
Yeah, for instance, if you were seen in the middle of town on a Sunday in your best suit, then somebody would ask you, "Are you going somewhere? Are you going to a party, or why are you all dressed up?" Because you should be working, of course, even though it's a Sunday.
Okay.
And the funny thing was that there were only 4 emotions that were allowed in this culture, and one was you could be angry, you could be drunk, you could laugh, or you could be horny. That's it. Those were the feelings that were allowed.
Okay.
You could not be like a human person and cry and have a hard time, etc., etc. No, forget it.
So what did that do with you when growing up in an atmosphere where you could only be either drunk, horny, or smiling?
Well, if you didn't sort of adapt to that culture, you would be made fun of or you would be bullied. So my option was to be like the rest of the guys.
And how did you come to become a dentist then?
Well, I went to college in the main island, and I was pretty wild, and I did not conform well to whatever the regulations were. So I had the 6 year having a good time. And I worked. I was a sailor. I was a salesman. A lot of things. And this was the time that I needed to do to actually sort of get my steam out of my body. And then gradually I went to college, I went to university, and I went to dentistry because I wanted to be my own boss. And I wanted to be able to, I didn't realize it at that time. I actually wanted to be able to serve people, maybe heal them. And that sort of, that didn't dawn on me until years later, until I had been in dentistry for about 10, 15 years. And a man came to me in my office, and he said, I'm coming from, he said, from the Himalayas. And I had treated him previously, done surgery on him. And I wanted to give you gloves that were actually knitted there. And they are green because you are green. Because you healed me when nobody else could heal my wounds. And this message actually hit my core. And then I said, hey, yes, I think you're correct.
Okay, what else did it do with you?
Well, because you see, it is whatever profession one has. In 99% of the time, one is a servant. If you're a salesman, you're a servant. If you're a CEO, you're a servant. And once that's in our psyche, that will change us. And even though we are firm, determined, we can go long ways with this soft energy.
So how did you look at your professional life and maybe personal as well before the realization that you are a servant to others?
Yeah, that is pretty funny, you see. When I had finished my dentistry exam, I was a dentist in Iceland for 5 years. Then I went to the States and took advanced sort of training to become a specialist, like an endodontist is. And when I came back home, there was so much that I was needed because for people, a lot of referrals, etc., that I was totally overwhelmed. And I had to talk with myself, and that did go like this. Okay, Aegir, what do you want to be? do you want to be golfist, alcoholist, or something else? Because you have no way of actually venting out. You have no way of recuperating and have really installed some more energy in you. And I had a friend that was in yoga, and she directed me to yoga. And that actually saved me from becoming something really hideous. And yoga saved me in a way that it gave me strength, it gave me calm, and it gave me sort of assurance that I was okay. And also, when I went into yoga, then I started going to courses. And because of my upbringing, I had never been trained in talking about feelings. When somebody started to talk about feelings to me, I did something really usually stupid. And one of the things was I couldn't talk about feelings. I was scared. I was scared that I was literally going to die. I was a real good example of male chauvinistic pig. So
in what way was that shown? How did it come out that you were the chauvinistic male pig?
Well, one let's say good example that I was a chauvinistic pig and I couldn't talk about feelings is that I have had 4 wives.
Okay.
and it, in my family, extended family, I'm not on top. One of my uncles has 5, and that is sort of, this is because of the upbringing in the streets of Vestmannaeyjar in the island that I was born. I mean, you would run for your life if the topic was something about feelings. So when my wives actually started to talk about feelings with me, I thought, how the heck am I going to get out of this? Because I was really, and I'm not joking, saying, I thought I would die, actually, because here was something that I didn't know. I know it really, really affected me. I had no handle on it. And I just run away. Yet, starting to know yoga, then I started to go to courses about taking in your feelings, managing your feelings. And I think it took me about 5 years. And I was going to courses with all those women. But usually
was that hell or heaven?
No men. It was heaven. And I thought to myself, where are all the guys? I mean, why do they go to bars to pick up girls? Come on, join yoga. There's lots and lots of girls there. And anyway, you see, they were really wonderful. The women that were there, they really taught me well. It was laughing and crying for me, crying my eyes out. I was scared, but I did it. I didn't run away. And again and again and again, I went through an ordeal again and again. And it was difficult, yes. And was it worth it? Yes. Because on the other end of this agony, there was freedom. And the funny thing is that now, if I meet somebody, be it a man or a woman or whatever, my favorite topic is feelings. And now the trend has reversed. Now people, I mean, run from me because I want to talk about feelings.
Could you see in the moment, in the heat of the moment, when you're faced with feelings that you did not express before, could you see that freedom ahead? Did you have some kind of vision, or what drove you towards it, to continue with the practice of feelings and yoga? What was your drive?
Good question, Jim. My drive was being healthy. I didn't know actually that word then, because for me, being healthy is not only my physical health, it is my mental health. It is how I make decisions. It is how I address people, males and women, and I sort of in all my strain and work and agony and crying, and there was laughter as well, of course. I always had this vision. I will do this. I will become a human. Because when you are somebody that cannot talk about feelings, you are not actually human. Part of you is dead. It's dead tissue. You just dragging it along.
Was that what you felt as well, that you were partly dead?
Excuse me?
Was that what you felt at that moment when you started the process? I am partly dead. I'm not living my life like I should, or like I can, or...
It was really, when I sort of look back on it, it was like a quest. It was a calling that I had no idea of. Actually, part of it, I had no idea why the heck I was doing this, why I was drawn to it. Although I did, half of the time I did, half of the time I didn't. And this is exactly what happens in a quest. I mean, you don't know why you are, setting yourself up for agony and crying and whatever.
Is this yeah. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. So actually, I didn't have a choice.
Is this what you would say? I really wanted to get more conscious about who I really am, and getting the unconscious to be conscious?
Yes, that came later. There's one thing that I have to add, though, before I address that. It is that the methods of going through to a whole man was pretty, it is almost, it was hard. Today, there are totally different methods that are very, very soft, and you don't have to go through all this agony. Now it's really soft. Now you have, for instance, in yoga nidra meditation that we talk about later, maybe, you have a method that you can dissolve feelings that you don't want to have. You can do amazing thing in yoga and nidra. Now, about your question about consciousness, when this sort of progressed into me becoming more like a person that I liked, then the consciousness came in, because before that there was so much fog around. And now the fog, a lot of it lifted, and I was more conscious of actually having a consciousness and having, let's say, a spirit. Because if you come to Iceland, you have visited Iceland, you know how it is. There is some intangible thing that sort of you walk into, and it is the spirit of Iceland. You better be in nature if you're going to really feel it, and then it will embrace you. No matter if you embrace it or not, that doesn't have to happen. It will embrace you, and you are elevated. And this is really, really a very, very strong consciousness that you have. Suddenly, in one way, you could say that suddenly you can feel your aura. And it is indescribable, yet it is felt.
Would you say, Aegir, that all the things that you learned in your childhood and in your early 20s, all the programs by society, parents, and your education, that you had to unlearn and really get yourself relieved of all these layers before you get into this consciousness?
I would say that you hit the nail on the head, because I had so much unlearning to do that it took me years to actually unlearn it. Yet, I would say that I am totally grateful for, let's say, life putting me in a situation and on a small island where I had all those unlearning to do later, because the process of unlearning made me something today that I would not have. I imagine I would not have been able to do if I had been born into a culture that was really soft and mellow and whatever. I
hear a lot of the growth that you went through goes along with gratitude and kindness and compassion towards these things that you had to unlearn again. Is that one of the keys to discover the consciousness or your consciousness?
Yes, I think. Yeah, I think you are absolutely right, because if we sort of delve into what consciousness is it in our head? Is it out of our head? Where is it? Nobody knows. You just feel it, and you can use it to live a better life, because with your consciousness comes the certainty that there is something bigger than you, and that bigger or greater, you can visit it. You can talk to it.
Yeah.
And you can ask questions. And actually, you get answers.
Well, that brings us perfectly to the topic when you raised there are new methods and new ways of getting into the emotions and getting to this consciousness, to the field of the quantum intelligence, because this is all about the consciousness and opening up to the consciousness. Can you tell us a little bit more about the quantum intelligence program that you went through and how you got involved with it and what it did with you and what you learned from it?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to join a brotherhood that sort of met every once a week, and we talked about how our lives were, feelings, etc. And one thing, what we did was that a person called Andres Gell was presenting his take on quantum intelligence. And he did that once a week. And this was 3.5 years ago we started. So what Andres had done, he has, after 30 years of dwelling into quantum mechanics, he has come up with a method of using quantum intelligence, using quantum intelligence as a help for you to go through your life. It's like using a health book you take from the shelf. And when I met quantum intelligence, I had no idea what was going on. And I didn't have, for instance, to give you a parallel, you can take meditation as an example. I've been meditating for a long time. I had a fabulous teacher in California, and called Richard Miller, who was a psychiatrist, and he taught me and he trained me, and I was meditating with him, and this process took through 3.5 years. And when I visited him, we would check on my meditation, what is doing, where are you, and when I had meditated for a long time, I described to him that in my meditation, I had nothing. There was nothingness. There was no, let's say, color, heat, cold, nothing. And Richard said to me, "Hey, Aegir, you know what? You are next to having enlightenment. I can teach you no more. You don't have to go to any classes. You don't have to go any retreats. You will deliver your own now on." And interesting enough, I decided, and I found out after this, when I left him and started to continue meditating, that I had to give up. I had to give up all logic, all that I was taught about the world, and take on a totally different paradigm. Totally different. I had just to forget about it. And this is sort of what you need to do when you meet quantum intelligence. You have to get to a different paradigm. You have to get to the paradigm that one photon that is shot through a slit may become two. This is actually an experiment that has been done and proven over again and again.
Is that going from the believing in the unbelievable to believe in the unbelievable?
Yeah, that's a good way to say that, to state that. You have to believe the unbelievable, and it takes time to believe that. Maybe some people are familiar with koans that come from Zennism, and if you're going to solve a koan, you don't solve it with your consciousness.
So what were the learnings from the quantum intelligence? What did it brought into your life?
Yes, so going through that training, I was fortunate enough to actually early on be able to shift and go into the paradigm of quantum intelligence, where everything is possible. Everything is possible. Two things one thing can be in two places, and other unbelievable things. So there is a ritual, or rather there is a process that you actually follow that we will go into in Horseland, and we will be there. And you start at one end and you go, let's say, with a problem, and you go through the process and you come out to the other end, and the whole quantum intelligence is holding you all the time. You don't have to do anything. It's holding you all the time. And you will have suddenly not one brain, you will have two brains, because your primitive brain has a partner that is your sort of creation. And now the two lead your life if you want it. And you have a different outcome from the goals that you usually have, because the goals that I usually have are something that comes from my head. The goals that I call the different things in quantum are actually go through my DNA and I created there, and I don't have to create. That is the solution.
Yeah, it's very nice what you say there, because that's what I experienced as well in the quantum trainings. You get out of your head and you go into another layer with more warmth, with more heart, and not only from you, but from the whole world. It feels, that you get inspiration from a total different perspective than when you're just sitting behind your desk and writing down your goals, just from your cerebellum in the front.
Yes. And you don't have to believe it. You just have to do the process, and it will deliver for you. And as a good point that you mentioned is that, of course, this program will be more powerful when you add your heart to it.
Yeah.
Much more powerful, exactly. And more true for you.
Yeah. It has something to do with adding your soul signature to it. Or the love and compassion, which we talked about already, rather than making it just a brainwave program or brainwave process.
That's true. I mean, you you add your spirit to the quantum intelligence. That's when it becomes unbelievable powerful.
Well, we're going to experience it, and like you said, in Hornstrand here. But before we get to that, that was one of your major methods that changed your life, or that you learned and that you got a lot of learnings from. Were there others in the past that you say, well, these things truly changed me and helped me to open up and to become more healthier and to get in touch with my feelings and to unrelease all these old programs, all these old programations? What else did help you with that?
Yes, I have gone to at least 2 quests that were unbelievable. And actually, when I think about it, the event that we have in Horstrandir could be a quest for anybody. There is an opportunity to take on a quest because it will be inviting you in all the time from this fabulous nature there. The first really difficult quest that I had, and again, this is a quest that suddenly came to me, and I said, what is going on? And what it said to me was, you have to go to the highlands of Iceland during the winter and into a cave and stay there for a long time. And I presented this to my wife, and she went berserk. And I presented this to an Indian man that I knew from my gym, and he was from the Himalayas. And he said, no. He said, I know what happened to these yogis that go to the caves in Himalayas. Some of them, they go crazy and they have no way back. But for me, I couldn't deny this voice or this, let's say, being that was talking to me, is that you have to go to the cave. So what I did, I went 3 times. The first time I went, I had 2 of my friends go with me to the cave and place me in a specific point in the cave. And that was done because if I would lose it and I would try to get out, there was nothing there that actually I could fall and die or hurt me and whatever. And the first one was more or less sort of a feel out. How is it? I had my yoga chair, I had a mat, I had aluminum paper that I could cover my weight because it was constant -4 degrees Celsius in the cave, and I didn't have
Wow.
that, and it was cold, and I changed from meditating in the chair to the mattress and sleeping there to and fro. I was in constant darkness. I had an emergency light if I had to use it. The first two try-ins, I had no food, and then so I spent a day and a half that time. Then I got new, because it was so cold. Then I got new equipment, and then I spent half a day to make sure that the equipment I had
Mm.
was good enough for me to actually not freeze. And the third time I went, then I went to with the intention that I wanted to know the love a woman has for her child when it is born.
Mm.
And I always had, you see, wondered about this tremendous energy, strength a mother has, this bond with with her kid. Because, I mean, there are so many documented, actually, instances where they actually perform miracles. A mother might be, by the window of her house somewhere, and her kid playing in the street, and there's a car that actually hits the kid, and the kid is under one tire, and the mother goes out, and it might be not a car, but a really big truck, and
So what did you find out when you were in the cave about the energy between the woman and her child?
Yeah, the woman will actually lift it.
Yeah.
So what I found out was that there is the Mother Earth in South America is called Pachamama.
Mm.
And there in the dark, Pachamama actually appeared to me. I couldn't see her, I felt her. And she told me about all the stories about these women that had given birth to a kid. Then she actually gave me the opportunity to give birth to a child, and I did. And then we talked later, and I felt this humongous love. Then she went out and went away. And then I sat at my chair, yoga chair, and thought to myself, what the heck happened? Because all the stories that she had taught me, all the events that she had helped me go through, I had totally forgotten about. I did not remember one thing.
It is incredible how this isolation and the solitude that you put yourself in, what a kind of inspiration and insights it brings you that you cannot learn, that you cannot find in the books.
No.
Or that comes from a complete other dimension, I would say, or from the quantum field.
No, of course, in the cave, you see, I mean, all those things come to you. All your demons will come for a visit. And it is really, really hard. I mean, I was almost in the cave, I mean, crawling on inside the cave with my nails, because I was in agony. And that happens when you isolate yourself, like you say, and you have to see your demons. Yeah. And then you have the opportunity to talk to them, befriend them, etc., etc., etc. You have the opportunity to actually go through a process of healing. And it's a fast track. It's a really fast track like this.
Do you feel you have seen all your demons now, Aegir?
No.
Not yet?
I don't think I or you or anybody in their lifetime sees all their demons. We are never finished. That's why I shouldn't hurry. I shouldn't hurry for anything, because I will not finish it.
Well, we've almost come to the end of the podcast, Aegir, and I think it's maybe just a little bit about the retreat that you will do in Harstrandir. And I'm looking so much forward to it, to share with you these experiences and to learn from it, and to truly experience this energy and this field in the pure nature of Iceland. What else would you say that that people, if they're interested to come, will take away from this retreat?
Well, you and I think we'll make a smorgasbord of tools that they can use, and which is very, very powerful. Nobody is actually can sort of are told this is what you have to do. You just do what you are able to do. I think they will leave with a total perspective in their body, and now and really take note that I do not say total respect on their lives. It is first and foremost total perspective in their body, because in Horstrander we are going to emphasize learnings with our bodies, and that never goes away.
No.
And with that bodily learning, the nature and spirit of Iceland will be in your bosom, and it will change you. It will change you. That is a guarantee. Yet you have to allow it, because nothing happens unless you allow it.
Well, thank you. Yet again for.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Can I add something? And please, we will do this with play and humor.
Exactly.
If it is not done with humor, it's not useful.
And we will not lock them up in a cave for 2 days. I would say.
No.
But it is an incredibly inspirational to go to Iceland. When I was there last year myself, it is an incredible experience. Like you say, it goes into your body and you will never forget it, and that makes it so beautiful. So together with all the learnings from you, from me, it will be a splendid experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and absolutely not forgetting your part in connecting with our hearts.
Yeah, and I think that is like we already said, it's when you feel that true connection from the heart, because the brain, the heart is the center of everything. You go there in the first place. And when you listen deeply and you connect with the nature, you don't connect with your nose or with your ear, but you connect with everything, with your whole body.
Yeah.
But it starts from the heart, and the energy comes from there. And that is something miraculous when we open that space, when we create that heart space, to allow other energies to come in. And especially in Iceland, it's such a beautiful place, and it goes automatically. So we will talk way much more about the heart and the quantum and in Hartstrand.
Yeah.
So Aegir, for the podcast, we're coming to an end. What a life you have led so far. and what kind of inspiration. And I'm very grateful that you shared all your knowledge and your experiences and your methods with us. And I hope we will see each other again in June.
Will do. And thank you.
Thank you. And I also would like to say thank you to the listener. And I hope this conversation and inspiration from Aegir has given you more insights for your life and your personal growth. And if you want to have more inspiration, please go to studiostain.com, where we have more podcasts with all kinds of different guests. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aegir. Thank you very much for listening to Studio Stain. If you want more inspiration, just go to my website studiostain.com or go to the Spotify website, iTunes on inspirational leadership. You can also share this podcast with others who might benefit from listening to these inspirational talks. Thank you very much, great people.